Mic check. 1 2 1 2. We are live. Facebook, we are live. All right. Mic check. Mic check. Facebook, we are live. Yes, we are. Let's get after this thing. You already see what we're doing. We're getting right into it. Personal, professional development. Number one. Right, we getting into what are the flaws? What flaws do I have? All right, I'll dive into it. Let me just get everything set up here. And we're going to jump right into it. This is what it's all about, folks. Admitting your flaws, admitting to the things that you can be doing better. What can you be doing better? There's always something. Always something. To the things that you can be doing better. All right. We all have them. The thing is, now, are you willing to admit them? Are you willing to admit them for the purposes of growth, development, having a growth mindset in regards to how you conduct every relationship in your life? We're going to get into all of that today. Give me a second to get everything in order. As you can see, we're going to put it all up. It's Make You Move Monday, first Monday in June. We got to bring it. You got to bring it day in and day out. You got to bring it. You got to show up consistently showing up day in and day out, doing what you do. All right. So all that being said, let me just introduce myself to anybody that may be new to the Move Swiftly world, maybe new to me, maybe new to what I'm all about. My name, Aswan Crookshank. I am former Division I college football player and current 5-time, soon to be 6-time published and author and educator. I created this whole brand, this whole framework, this whole mindset, this whole philosophy that's all about taking the innovative teamwork lessons that you learn on the football field and applying them to businesses and business owners so they have a staff, a group of employees that moves as efficiently as a championship high school or youth football team. That is pretty much what we do around here, is taking those lessons and really molding the mindset of employees and staff members so they walk into these organizations with a certain hunger, with a certain eagerness, with a certain just absolute passion, a passion that's developed over time. All right. Passion that's developed over time because they know their measurables, they know their goals, and they know exactly what it is expected of them. All right. So one of the facets of what we do here is just like a football game. It starts with a what? A kickoff. It starts with the kickoff, and we see based on that kickoff what kind of game we're going to get into. So every single week, I take that philosophy, right? Every single Monday, we come up with a kickoff question that's meant to hit you right between the eyes, right? Like, boom, we're hitting you right there. And today's kickoff question, this week's kickoff question, that's going to be the theme throughout the week, is we're talking all about our flaws, all about the things that we have that we need to improve on, the things that we are not doing the best at, that we're not the best at, admitting to these flaws and then saying, okay, how do these flaws work to my benefits? How do owning up to these things? How does making it so I'm actually recognizing these flaws in myself and saying, okay, I'm trying to get better. I'm trying to improve. I'm trying to get to the next stage, and whatever the next stage is for you in life. So we're talking all about that throughout the week. Today, I am going to admit to you the flaws that I have, the one flaw that I know I have in myself. So there's a lot of people that will so what I did throughout this week to get ready for this theme is I did reach out to people that were closest to me, and I asked them to give me some thoughts in terms of what my biggest flaws are. So we'll get into that throughout the week. But as far as today, because I want to be a role model, I want to be an example, I want to be the person really explaining to you guys, hey, you can follow my lead when it comes to this. I'm going to admit to you the flaws that I see in myself every single day, that I work on to this day. The one thing, all right, that one thing is I care too much. All right, I care too much, and I mistakenly make the assumption that everybody else out there cares as much as I do. So like as usual, we'll be diving into the article about this. I'll talk to you about a book that I read that really hit home. It's West by West with Jerry West. Another book I read by Rex Ryan that talked about, people who do care a lot. There's a lot of folks out there that care a lot. However, the importance of that ability when it comes to thought leadership, being a leader, being a coach, being a teacher, being an educator. It's important that you do care, because your students don't care how much you know. They don't give a shit of what you went to school for. They don't care what you learned in some certification class. They don't care what you know until they know how much you care. So I've used the fact that I care so deeply to my benefit. And that's what we're going to start to strategize and talk to you. I'm going to be talking about that with you all today. All right. But before I get too deep into the topic, let me get through a few announcements here. There'll be some quick ones, just quick announcements for you business owners. For the business owners that tune into the work I do day in and day out. As I've mentioned, I am here to serve you and work with you so you do not run into the turnover issue and all your profits are being sucked up by turnover. Pretty much just all your profits, everything you've worked for, everything you've built, everything you're trying is being sucked up because you're constantly having to replace employees. You're constantly having to bring new people in because you can't get it right. You cannot get it right. All right. So I'm going to take a little sip of coffee here. So first thing you need to be doing is going to free guide. You heard me correctly. Free guide.makeyourmove.com. That's freeguide.makeyourmove.com. We put this into a very simple to understand math problem where it is, number one, establishing measurables, and number two, adding that with a professional distance. And that's going to lead to the productive environment that keeps your business moving in the right direction, keeps the profits coming in. All right. Establishing measurables and adding a professional distance, that will equal your productive environment that you need. All right. So I created a 10-step process in which you can start utilizing that right now. You can start implementing things in a small, very, very strategic way within your organization. Implementing that, just make sure you download that. It's very, very easy. Just put in your first name, last name, phone number, and email, and you'll start to get on my email list, and you'll start getting, stories. And I put a lot of articles out there, a lot of things out there that you can be using to your benefit. Like I have free stuff out there. I currently right now have enough free stuff out there that's better than some people's paid stuff. The people that actually pay, that you would actually pay for professional development. I have better stuff out here right now that's for free that you can go look up on your own than folks who actually charge for this. All right, because this is what I do. It's me. This is how I am all day. I don't say that to be cocky or brag, but I just know what the fuck it is I'm talking about. I know what I'm talking about. I've been there, done that, seen all that shit. I mean, championships, the business is failing to, growing up where I grew up. You can go look it all up yourself. It's very, very. I'm giving it to you as straight. All right. And so finally, I'm saying all that because the next announcement is to go to makeyourmove.com. If you're ready to pull the trigger and go ahead and book me to speak and have me come into your staff to teach professional development, teach this mindset, teach this hunger, teach this mentality in which you're walking into your business and you're ready to go. You see it right here. Turn your business into a championship team. It's common knowledge. The best way to win in business or in life is by avoiding ways to lose. Avoiding ways to lose. It's avoiding ways to lose. Whether you've just started a new business or you've been in business for quite some time, there's no getting around the need to hire or outsource certain elements of your organizations so things can run as efficiently as possible. When you book a meeting with Aswan, he'll diagnose what the issues are with your current system and then strategically create a system in which will lead to a reduced amount of turnover or a clear understanding of parts of your business that need to be outsourced. Period, point blank, end of sentence. Turn your business into a championship team on makeyourmove.com. All right. Now that we've gotten through the announcements, you like how I did that. You like how I transitioned. You like how it all smoothly, how it all just ran smoothly and swiftly. Pun intended, right? Pun intended. All right, let me get the banners up real quick for my podcast listeners. I'm just getting the banners up and everything visually ready for my LinkedIn folks, my folks on Facebook, my folks on YouTube. Shout out to my folks on LinkedIn. Man, shout out to my folks on LinkedIn. I appreciate you. It's probably if I had to pick a platform that's the biggest, obviously I'd go YouTube, but LinkedIn has been really, really kind to me, seeing the engagement and the kind of people that are on LinkedIn, the kind of like strangers that come and comment on my stuff and, like and comment and reshare stuff. I truly, truly, truly appreciate my LinkedIn folks. Not to say I don't appreciate you Facebook folks or YouTube folks, but LinkedIn, I'm telling you, man, LinkedIn is the spot. And the crazy thing is, this was a new LinkedIn account. This LinkedIn account was new because the one I previously got hacked. It got hacked. I believe that term is it got hacked. And now it won't happen this time because I created the double sign up, the verification sign in thing with like they make you do when it comes to YouTube and Gmail and stuff like that. When you do that, then it avoids being hacked and somebody getting a hold of your account and they're sending a bunch of weird messages to people, all that kind of stuff. So anyway, let's get right into the article today. So here it is, hitting you right between the eyes, square at it, coming right at you. Okay, what are your flaws and how are they beneficial? Let's get a full definition of the word flaws, because I want to make sure we are all on the same page. And shout out to my guy Dre Baldwin, who I spent a lot of time tuning into his work. And one of the things that I really did pick up, one of the many things I picked up on, is he'd always give definitions to words. He'd always make sure, hey, let's make sure we're on the same page. Let's understand what the definition is. And then we're going to move forward with how we're going to dive into the topic. All right. So flaws, by Google definition, is a mark, fault, or other imperfection that mars a substance or object. Plates with flaws, and then so they use the example, plates with flaws in them were sold at the outlet store. So if you have a plate that may be broken, that may be ineffective, then you outsource them and you sell them at the outlet mall. You have something go on where a shoe may not have the right Nike sign, or they may have forgotten the Nike logo. Okay, you're going to sell it at a department store. It's still pretty much the good shoe. It just doesn't have the Nike logo on it because something went wrong in the factory. So there's a flaw there. There's a flaw. There's something that happened to a person or to an individual, to some object out there that made it defective. It's defective. And now they have to sell it at a certain place and you have to deal with the actual flaw. All right. And the question becomes, what the hell are your flaws? What is the flaw? And that's what, like I said, we're going to be diving into this all week. So get ready. Today, I wanted to put myself out there. I wanted to put tomorrow I'll be doing the same thing as well. But Wednesday, we're going to talk about how to take advantage of other people's flaws for wins and stuff like that. But it starts today and tomorrow. I wanted to make sure it's on the record that I'm holding myself accountable for the flaws that I actually have. Now, I sort of started to mention it in the intro, but I wanted to make sure you got some context as I read through the article, because it's all written in black and white that you can go look up. By the way, make sure you follow me on medium.com. Medium, I know it's not as popular of a platform for something that a lot of people in my world, sports world, don't really know much about, but medium.com is like the YouTube just for written material, written articles. And what I'll be doing is I'll be doing some promos with my next book coming out, or book packages only or strictly for my Medium followers, the people that follow me on Medium. So make sure you do that if you are somewhat interested in the work that I do. All right. So all that being said, let me get directly into the article. What are your flaws and how are they beneficial? All right. So where this question came from, This week's reflection comes courtesy of a magical, when I say magical, I mean that, magical, much needed for me, needed it really damn bad, needed it really bad, all right? Comes from a magical weekend trip to Naples with my girlfriend and her family. On the drive back, she and I got into yet another deep hour plus conversation, which by the way happens very, very frequently between me and her. It is a situation where sometimes it's almost like, yo, the two of us can literally just be friends talking. Okay, that's the way it should be. That's the advice I've gotten from several people who have been married, and something I truly wanted in my own life. I never wanted to be with someone that was just a physical romantic thing, because that shit does not last. What lasts is meaningful conversation where you're getting up in each other's grill and you calling out each other's flaws, and you really, you duking it out. That's real life. All right. The other bullshit that you see in Disney channels and Disney movies and all that, that's what you've been fed. And that's what we eradicate. We don't do that around here. We do not do that. I'm just putting it out there. All right. So the hour plus conversation, something that's become a norm. I'm reading, like, all right, let me calm down. This is one of my flaws we'll be talking about tomorrow. Let me read directly from the article, and then I will let you guys know when I start getting off topic, because as I read it, I'm recapping. I actually write these out. And I actually use ChatGPT just to proofread and, kind of maybe add little pieces here and there. But for the most part, I do spend a good amount of time writing these articles. So just know I get passionate in my writing and my reading and my speaking and all that. So anyway, on the drive back, she and I got into yet another deep hour plus conversation, something that's become a norm in our relationship. We don't shy away from the uncomfortable stuff. We talk about life, about purpose, and often about personal development. So I asked her a question. What flaws did you have in the past that you now see as beneficial? After hearing her answer, I had to flip the mirror back on myself, and not just privately, but publicly, because growth happens in community. All right. So here I am. Let's talk about it. Boom, right here. Now, this is all me. This is not something, she told me to do, or this is not something that I was looking for somebody else to do for me. This is something I asked myself when I got into my alone time, when I, reflected and said, okay, what's the next thing Aswan needs to do? How does Aswan needs to move his business? What exactly is Aswan needing to do as we approach the next season and the next season and the next season? All right. So again, podcast listeners, I'm back to the article directly. All right. My biggest flaw, I care too much. I'll save my top 5 flaws for tomorrow's top 5 Tuesday list. Stay tuned. That's coming out tomorrow. But for now, I'll focus on one that has been both my greatest burden and my biggest blessing. Say it for the people in the back. All right. I am no longer looking at my flaws as a burden, but a blessing. I am no longer looking at the biggest flaw that I just admitted to you all I have, is that I care too much. And what I assume is that every single person that I come across gives a shit as much as I give a shit. All right. So it's a burden. Yes. One of the greatest burden I have, but it's also can be, if I position it the right way, if I take my breaths, if I really understand what a person, or empathize with what a person's going through and what a person may see or feel when they meet me, it becomes my biggest blessing, because of an understanding that I have of what somebody else may have lived through or gone through, and just saying, hey, that's a blessing. That is what it's all about. Biggest burden can become your biggest blessing if you put the focus on. If you focus in and just remove yourself from your own head for 2 fucking seconds, all right, and see the way somebody else thinks, and you say, okay, let it go. Let it go. Say it with me, let it go. Let it go. Because I know I'm talking to some of you all right now. And I want to say it to you. Let it go. Let it go. I know some coming in your head. There's that forgiveness. There's that, somebody did you this and they did you what. Let it go. Let it go. Okay. Let it go. Let it go. All right. Let it go. All right. Back to the article. Let it go. All right. So I care too much. One of my favorite sports autobiographies is West by West by the late, great Jerry West. He opens the book with a line that hit me like a lightning bolt. My greatest weakness by far is assuming everyone cares as much as I do. That quote has been metaphorically stapled in my brain ever since. And before I go further, though, I want to make sure you guys understand when I read that book. I read that book. I was 20. I was approaching my 25th birthday, 24 to 25. Right, it was over 10 years ago now. And I had literally had this idea. I had this great idea of starting a minor league football team in Ocean City named the Ocean City Sharks. Some podcast listeners, I have it right here in my book. I have it right here in my second book, Make Your Move. Let me show you real quick. This was the logo. This was everything right here. The Ocean City Sharks. It's still here. It's why you see OC Sharks on my email. So people that still email from OC Sharks, I still have it. I still have it because it's a reminder of how great the idea was. The idea was to put a minor league football franchise in the island of Ocean City, of the city of Ocean City, Maryland, named the Ocean City Sharks, and have it be a feeder for whether it's the Ravens, whether it's the Redskins, or whether it's the Eagles. Just be a feeder franchise to especially those Northeast teams, the spring football franchise. As you can see, there's the UFL and shit like that, where it's being horribly run because it's already on TV. I wasn't talking about creating something that was going to get a lot of TV time, but more so a lot of opportunities for trainers and, nutrition folks that want to develop. You come right out of school as D2, D3, or FCS guys. You give it 2 or 3 seasons. If you're not good enough for the league, boom, move on, figure out what the hell it is you want to do with your life. But only for that specific group of guys where the contracts were going to be based on what the NFL was going to offer. I had assumed everyone cared. I had assumed that everyone gave a shit about how broken the NFL scouting system is. I assumed everyone gave a shit about that. All right, I had graduated. You understand? I graduated from Stony Brook University the year that the NFL had the lockout. So it's the longest word stoppage in the NFL. I wanted to coach in the NFL. I wanted to scout in the NFL. I wanted to, be a part of one of these franchises. My goal was to work with one of the 32 franchises. And I saw a broken system, and I took the initiative to go and create something that would have helped with that broken system. All right. I assumed everyone cared. So obviously I bought the book West by West with Jerry West, and I was in Ocean City, at the boardwalk by myself, knowing no one. The ideas all over the place. I quit job. I didn't have an income. I didn't have anything. The only thing I had was the car that I was sleeping out of that eventually got repossessed. So I was really really at my credit score. It's a 400. I mean, the way my mother describes that particular time, she looked at me. It's like, you. She goes, you fucked. You fucked. You are fucked. All right. F-U capital C-K-E-D. Would I change it? Absolutely not. One of the greatest moments of my life, one of the greatest experiences I've ever had. One of the reasons that the flaws that you see in me, this excessively frugal, this excessively focused, this excessively detail-oriented person that understands the value of just having a fucking dollar, and just the value and the appreciation of squeezing every single penny out of, just squeezing it, because I literally, this is how bad it was. I didn't have enough money to pay my own damn phone bill. So I would be sleeping in these parking lots, and one of those parking lots had a payphone. So I'd have to go on my laptop there's a local library, and I'd email my mom, say, I'll be at the payphone by, let's say, 3 p.m. She'd call the payphone, she'd check up on her son, make sure he was still alive. And there'd be times where I'd actually be excited because I actually was getting people to show up. I was actually getting things together when it came to the team. You had a school that was able to let me use it for free. Everyone I talked to loved the idea. I joined the Chamber of Commerce and Ocean City. It was all set up. But the biggest flaw, and I'm giving it to you as raw as uncut. There's a lot of people listening that I understand that you assume that the idea was something that a lot of people would care about. They didn't give a shit about the NFL needing a feeder system. They didn't care about the things you cared about. So that's where I had to learn a hard and incredibly hard lesson that I swear I wouldn't take away. I wouldn't take away because it's built up the mentality in me now to where now that I am with someone, now that I have met someone, it's like, I'm learning, hey, there's certain parts of myself that I need to get checked. But then there's certain parts of myself that are very beneficial because of the caring mentality. All right. So you got to understand it. You're not going to get where it is you're trying to go until you start exposing yourself to these flaws and you meet people that, hey, look, I got flaws too. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. Let's figure out how we can help each other together if we're honest about it. The problem is a lot of you guys aren't honest about it. The problem is a lot of you guys want to, put on this show and act like you have it all together. The problem is you're not being honest about where your flaws are. And if you're not doing that, I'm telling you, you're headed for a very, very ugly reality. You don't want that. I don't want that for you. I don't, especially if you're tuning into my work, and I appreciate you so much. Do not walk that road of acting like you just have it together. Even if technically you do. Let's say you have the amount of money in your account that you want. You have the car you want. You got the woman you want. You got the family you want. You got the house you want. Let's say you have it all together. Still develop the mentality of, hey, it's something I can improve on, something I could do. Because even if all that's together, that's for the day. Tomorrow is another story. The next day is another story. The next day is the weather comes. There's a hurricane. There's this happened. There's that. Always be preparing. Always have the preparation mindset. Just go back a couple weeks ago when I did a whole week-long episode, a whole week-long theme about being a proactive problem solver, proactively solving a problem before the shit comes up, because they're going to come up. We know it's going to happen. Problems are inevitable. Change is inevitable. Shit fucking happens. All right? It happens. Are you prepared for it to happen? That's the mentality. All right, that's what it's all about. And so I went off on the tangent there. Let me get back. Let me get a sip of coffee because I'm going off. I know. It happens. It happens on the show. All right, so the quote, back to the article for my podcast listeners. That quote has been metaphorically stapled in my brain ever since. When you're someone who genuinely cares about people, outcomes, effort, legacy, it can feel like a curse in environments where apathy runs up rampant. You get labeled as intense, sensitive, or overinvested. But I've come to see this trait as a filter. It filters out people who are just going through the motions. And it helps me align with those who are driven by something deeper. All right. So I just explained to you. Now we're kind of transitioning here. We're moving to another phase. All right. Hey, these are my flaws. These are the things that I know these are the marks. These are the things that I have that can become a detriment to me. But here we go. They're to my benefit. I'm going to use them to my benefit because I recognize them. It's just like I actually was yesterday. It was a park. I was parked. And I was backing out. No, I was front park. So I was driving slowly, but I couldn't see my blinds. I couldn't see the car coming from because I was parked next to like a big pickup truck. So I was pulling out a bit slowly. And as you see the car coming, he stopped because he sees me. He stopped first, and then I stopped. And then it was like, ooh, okay. Avoid the accident because there's a flaw. It's the same thing when it comes to life. If you recognize your flaw first and you are encountered or move into a situation or you're in a scenario where this flaw now is going to be approached or exposed, let's make sure we address it by explaining and being open and honest and transparent enough to say, hey, this is what I struggle with. Let's work together. Let's be honest with each other. Let's make sure you're not just going through the motions and end up eventually crashing and burning, because that's what the fuck is going to happen if you don't start talking about it and getting it out. I don't give it. You got to get it out in some kind of way. You got to get it out because people don't know what they don't know. You just don't know what you don't know. You don't know what's going on in a person's head. You don't know what a person actually lived through. You don't know what a person actually had to do to get to the positions that they're at. So you got to make sure you're expressing this in your words and your communication, so they do know, so that stuff does not cause such a ruckus. All right. So now let's get back to the article, folks. Let's get back to the article. Podcast listeners, I'm going back to the article. So How this flaw serves me today. As I've grown, I've started attracting people who match my intensity, people who care, people who want to move, people who want to build. And that's where the power of flaws comes full circle. Because when you use your so-called weakness as a tool for discernment, it becomes an asset. Let me say it again. For the people in the back, make sure you tune in. All right, tune it on in. I don't know where you're listening to this from, but get your ears nice and close to wherever it is you're listening to it from. All right. When you use your so-called weaknesses as a tool for discernment, it becomes an asset to you. Your so-called weaknesses and recognizing where your flaws are, recognizing all of that, you use them as a way of discerning yourself and discerning certain things. Now it becomes your asset. There's a great quote that the legendary Warren Buffett at one point, he was the richest man in the entire world. Warren Buffett said, one of these videos, and I used to watch a ton of his videos. In fact, I read the snowball effect. You know, like all you need in life is one little snowball, push it down the hill and have it attract and it starts to build. So I read that. But so Warren Buffett once said, when it comes to him investing and his investing and how he goes about his mentality when it comes to investing, is he says, look, the stuff I don't know, I just stay away from that. I stay away. Because when it comes to my philosophy about investing, he got the stuff I don't know. I just stay away from that. I stay away from stuff I don't know. I invest in the stuff I do know. All right, and what I know is going to build, what I know is going to create return, and then we move forward. That's the power. That's what I mean when I say, you know, using your weaknesses as a tool for discernment. Now it becomes an asset because you just know what your abilities are, what you need to be staying away from. So let me explain. Going back to the article, I'm going to explain from my own life now and what I've set up within my own business. In my work as an educator at the Center for Creative Education in West Palm Beach, most of the students I teach don't have consistent male role models in their life. And the fact that I care too much, that's exactly what makes me valuable to them. All right, that's just the truth. And this isn't just the Center for Creative Education. This was back when I was a high school football coach, and most of the students, pretty much, virtually, I'd say maybe 2 or 3 dads would show up to the games. All right, I had a dad that couldn't stop. I mean, he was known at my football games, right? So I was, but it was just a few dads that would show up at the games. And, you know, when we're talking football now, this is something that you would think that a dad would want to show up in. And when it comes to them bonding with other males and having those dialogues, those are priceless moments. All right. So we as coaches are one of the few positive male role models that these boys would see all day. And it's the same thing at the school I teach at now. Very few male role models that they get to see in the school throughout the day. I have the honor and the privilege of being one of them. So the fact that my mentality is that I care so much, it makes me more valuable to them. And that's really the only group of people I give a shit about, right? The students, right? I don't really have to care about the teachers liking me. I don't have to care about upper management liking me. I don't have to care about the folks who genuinely cannot stand as one. It doesn't matter. Okay. What I do care about is the students who don't have the positive male role models that they want, is me being someone that's a positive male role model to them and understanding how much I do care. That is what becomes an asset to me. And that is what becomes more of a valuable feature or valuable aspect to what it is I'm doing and what it is I'm building. All right. So after that, and going back to the article, folks. So let me just read it for you guys so you have context here. Most of the students I teach don't have consistent male role models in their lives. The fact that I care too much, that's exactly what makes me valuable to them. In my employee development workshops, the people I serve are often struggling with clarity or motivation. They're worried about getting replaced, overlooked, or underdeveloped in their careers. I'm able to speak to them because I care, because I built a system around helping people stay employed and by learning how to add value. if you're going to be, again, my main offer is employee development workshops. I'm going to be offering employee development workshops. I'm going to be offering that stuff. Then the people need clarity or motivation, and they're very underdeveloped within their own organizations. Then that happens very, very frequently. And in my personal life, I'm dating an incredible woman who has kids from a previous marriage. I've seen that dynamic play out firsthand with my own sister. My own sister lived through this. All right, my own sister lived through this, and I'll never forget the legendary. Let me see how much time we got. All right, I won't play the. Let me see if I should play this scene. So there's a legendary scene in the movie Jerry Maguire. It's right. If you're a sports movie person, then you know what I'm talking about. It's the movie where it's like he ended the movie with Jerry Maguire, but Jerry Maguire's portraying Drew Rosenhaus and Tom Cruise. Yeah, Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise is the star. He's starring with Renee Zellweger or something like that. And, Renee Zellweger is the single mom, and Tom Cruise is playing the sports agent that just leaves his job to go start up his own thing. Renee Zellweger, goes with him. She leaves the job with him because of some passion, but she has a son. And she takes this risk. With Jerry Maguire, who's played by Tom Cruise, and he doesn't have an income at all because he just left the agency, and now he has to build up his own business. So she's working with him to do that, and he's all passionate. And if you're a sports movie person, go watch the movie. But anyway, so the scene that I'm referring to when I say this, and I'll move on to it quick because my girl didn't know I was going to do this. So I'm going to keep it like, I got to make sure I'm keeping it, not giving too much information here. But the scene I'm referring to, and it's not necessarily about her per se. It's really about everyone out there who's ever had to be single and, had struggled with being single because of responsibilities and it having to be a tough thing, because there's a lot of you guys that I serve that I've worked with throughout the years, whether it's my time as a high school football coach, whether it's my time as a trainer, it's my time now as an educator. It's multiple people. It's not really just about one person when it comes to this. But there's a scene where Jerry Maguire is thinking about moving forward with this woman who is so supportive of him and his business and what she's about, but she is a single mother, right? She's, raising a little boy. And he asks Rod Tidwell, who's the one player that he's representing, he goes, "Can I ask you a question that has nothing to do with football?" And he goes, "What, do you want to be friends now?" And then Jerry Maguire says, "What do you know about dating a single mother?" And he goes, "Plenty. I was raised by a single mother." And he goes, "Yeah, because I'm thinking she's going to leave me because after this, I can't bring in any money right now. And she has to think about what's best for a kid, yada, yada, yada." And then Rod Tidwell goes, "You love her?" And then Tom Cruise goes, How do I know? And then Rod Tidwell goes, "What you mean, how you know? You know when you know. You know when you know." And he goes, "I've been, hanging out at her place a lot. I like the kid and all that." And then, Rod Tidwell stops him. He goes, whoa, wait, right there. That's bullshit. No, it's bullshit. All right. And this is the quote that has stuck in my mind years before I met my girl. I knew I would watch this just literally religiously, because again, the movie was kind of about what it is I wanted to do in terms of agents and sports agents and all that. But anyway, Rod Tidwell tells him, being a single mother, that's a sacred thing. That's no joke. And if you're going to get serious with it, if you're going to go move forward with it, if you're going to really be about it, you got to commit and you got to tell her and let her know. If you're having your doubts, it is absolutely irresponsible of you not to say anything and just sort of play this off as if it's some, little fling that you're meeting at a strip club. And that mentality, that approach, that is something that has absolutely been beneficial for me, because I've learned the fact that I care so much. And my flaw, like I said, I mentioned care so much about a lot of different things. All of that works to my benefit to really make it so you understand how much a person's willing to sacrifice in order to make something, because they genuinely care. All right. And I'm reading directly from the article now, guys. That scene wasn't just cinematic. It was truth. The kind of truth you live when you've seen it up close. The kind of truth you carry when you care deeply, not just about the person in front of you, but the full context of their life. caring too much and making it count. So yes, I'm reading again, going directly to the article because I see I'm coming up on my 45-minute mark of talking. So caring too much and making it count. So yes, caring too much has cost me in the past. I've been burned, misunderstood, exhausted. But over time, experience sharpens emotional intelligence. You learn how to direct your care, when to pull back, and how to keep your heart open without getting taken advantage of. When that happens, your flaw turns into your superpower. Come on, somebody, let's say it to the people in the back. When that happens, your flaw turns into your superpower. Your superpower. Your superpower. Your flaw. The things that the derail you and the things that used to be something that you could not get over, it turns into your superpower. When you start to make it, when you start to make sure you recognize it. And if you stay the course, keep failing, learning, growing, and repeating, the right people will see your expertise and for what it really is. Earned wisdom. You have not heard that anywhere. I don't want you to pretend like you've heard that anywhere. Earned wisdom. Earned. Let's go to the meaning of wisdom. Right now, we'll close you out with the meaning of wisdom, because earning wisdom, earning it is a completely different thing than just throwing the term wisdom out. Earning your wisdom is a completely different thing. Wisdom, the quality of having experience, knowledge, and good judgment, the quality of being wise. Listen to the words of wisdom. You got to earn it, man. You got to earn it. Everything you do, you got to plain and simple earn it. The reason that Jerry West is the person that I had to headline this article with is because when I read his story, he was open and honest and transparent enough to let anybody that's willing to listen know, hey, you want to break into sports as one, you want to be this figure, you want to be this person, this is the layout, this is what you're going to have to do, this is what you're going to have to deal with. All right. And so once you read a person's autobiography and you see them now on TV and you see them doing their dealings, I thought so much about him with Kobe and the Lakers legacy and what he created, the late Kobe Bryant and the Shaqs and all what he's built, what he was a part of. There's a reason that guy right there that you're looking at on the screen, he's the logo for the National Basketball Association. They used his picture for the logo. And I'll close you out with that image. Jerry West, logo man. He's the logo. He is the logo for the National Basketball Association. All right. That is how big of a deal he is. And that's why for me, it's like, hey, coming from the DMV, being into it, wanting to be in sports, loving basketball more from a spectator's perspective. I'm like, yo, just reading it was like an amazing experience, man. And that's what you got to do. You have to go out and seek it. If you don't go out and seek it, if you don't make sure you're seeking the wisdom and seeking these things, you will not get there. All right. So all that being said, again, we're just getting started here. Next week, we're going to get into the top five flaws, top 5 things that I went and I called my mother, I called my girl, I called the people that know me the best, and I asked them to really, beat my ass a little bit, get at me, to let me know what I'm doing wrong, because I want to be constantly improving. I know what my role is. I know what my business, I know what the business is. I know what it serves. I know all of these things are so important. So I wanted to hear that. So tune in tomorrow as I break you down with the top 5, and then Wednesday, get ready, because we're going to start to put the opposer. I'm going to start as one of my superpowers is I'm going to start using the game of football to recognize flaws in the other team. And when you recognize the flaws in the other team, then you pull out the victories. You pull out the most unlikely victories, the greatest experiences of your life when you go in there and this team is expecting to win, and all the reporters are ready to write it off and say, okay, that team wins. But you come in, you recognize the flaw, and you took advantage, boy. Woo! It's going to be an incredible week. It's going to be an incredible summer. It's going to be an incredible end second part of 2025. Can't believe we're already in June, but I hope you've gotten it going. Let's get the work going. All right. So all that being said, Again, business owners, if you like what it's all about, if you like what we do here, again, the main website is makeyourmove.com. That's makeyaamove.com. As you can see, you can do your research, go home. You can, when I say home, I mean the homepage. You can download a free guide, book me to speak, just learn more about me, listen to the podcast, understand that what we're all about is turning that business into that championship mentality, turning that team, turn that staff into a championship high school or youth football team mentality. All right. So if you went out there, as one Crookshank, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, checking out. You guys continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon.